Yeah. I want to do question and answer, but this particular time I'm going to respond to only one comment, more like a question. Um, Someone known, the username is Big Merge, posted on my YouTube channel. So I came across it today. I was like, let me respond to this one just for this video. So I'm going to read out his post and then talk about it. Um, I think he was on this what's it called, Peugeot 504 V6 versus uh 505 V6 project. So that was the project I started in 20, was it 2020 or 2021? I know in 2020. So I later changed the project, more like modified it. So let me read the comment. It says, "Hi sir, I'm hoping you will be kind enough to provide some advice by answering the following questions, because I'm trying to figure out the best path forward for a PRV V6 B280E and the auto 20 swap for my 504 sedan. Mine is auto, petrol as well. Um, are custom fabricated motor mounts necessary for this? Does the PRV oil pan fit without needing to modify my clutch member? Do you know of auto transmission I can use that will not require me to reshape the tunnel or cut the drive shaft to be able to fit in? And lastly, will the PRV exhaust system require any modification fabrication to the underside of the 504? Thanks in advance for any help you can kindly provide. Okay, Big Match. So for those who don't know what he meant by the PRV um, conversion uh, project, he meant PRV is a V6 Peugeot engine that we have, that was produced by Peugeot, Renault and Volvo. So this is the V6 engine you find in my Peugeot 505 V6. Generally, any Peugeot 504 and 505 you see, that's the engine. Then Renault, is it Renault 24? I'm trying to remember the Renault model that had PRV. I think it's more than one model Renault. Then Volvo. I know Volvo 760 GLE, a version of it had that PRV engine. And then 780, I think it stopped with at 780. Volvo 740 GLE, 760. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly, but I know 760. Yeah, it has the PRV engine. Then I think some was a Volvo 740 as well. But some Volvo 740 has turbo engine. So, but this the particular one that has a V6 PRV engine is GLE, and maybe not all the GLE even had the V6. Some, I don't know. I'm not an expert on Volvo. However, from what Big Merch posted here, he intends to pull the PRV engine from Volvo. That's why I had to mention other vehicle brand that use this engine. So the B280E is a version of this PRV engine that was mounted in Volvo 760 or thereabouts. So And this is the 170 horsepower version, just like the one in 505. There are two versions. There's 145 and 170 version, HP version. That's what I mean, horsepower version. Um, the version of for Peugeot 505, the 145 version is ZN 3T, while the um is it 3T? ZN 3T, I think. While the 170 horsepower version is the ZN 3J. So likewise in Volvo, the 147 HP version of this engine is B280F, while the 170 HP version is B280E. So the one he wants to use for his 504 project is B280E, so the 170 horsepower version. So I just wanted to point out all this so that people, uh, those who don't know anything about PRV, have understanding. So now you said you want to use auto transmission for the project or the conversion. Of course, the ideal would have been to use a manual transmission. They have been much faster and prevent some of the questions you even ask here. However, because all the Volvo that had these PRV engines, whether it's B280E or B280F, they all had automatic transmission. There was no manual transmission option for the Volvo that had these engines, PRV engines. While Peugeot, they have two options: 5-speed manual gearbox and 4-speed automatic gearbox. So, so I can understand that it might be hard to get a manual gearbox for this project, since you are using engine from the Volvo, the one they use in Volvo. So it means you won't be able to use the gearbox on the Peugeot. Well, I don't know the model of gearbox they put on Volvo on that engine, whether it's the same gearbox model on PRV in 505. I know the one in 505 was what's the name, ZF 4HP22. So I don't know if it's the same gearbox. If it's the same gearbox, then you may have to. Okay, maybe I'll answer that towards the end of the question, as I try to answer the other questions you asked. Okay, so let's go first to the first question, the major question here. It said, are custom fabricated motor mounts necessary for this? Now, motor mounts. Let me show you something you need to understand about this PRV. In PRV, of course, they have some versions. Um, Now, the one that had, I don't know, Volvo pulled out when the PRV engine was used on, well, have they pulled out when it was used on 605 V6? So I'm not sure. Well, okay, Volvo, I think Volvo was still, because Volvo at some point pulled out of the company. So it now remained only Peugeot and Renault. So, but at the time of, that was 1989. 1980, yeah, around 1989, they changed the engine to ZP. For Peugeot, they changed it to ZPJ and ZPJ4. So at that time, Volvo was still there with them. So Peugeot changed from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive at that time for their V6 vehicles. So you now have to change the oil pan. Remember that the rear-wheel drive, the engine is mounted longitudinal, while for the front-wheel drive is a vertical shape. vertical mount. So so if you are going to use B280 from Volvo, I know Volvo is rear wheel drive. So my assumption here is, remember it's same engine, but my assumption is the cross member with Peugeot will not be the same. For those who don't know, the cross member we are talking about, the he as us, is the cross member where the engine is dropped, or engine is sitting on in the engine bay. So the cross member of Volvo and the Peugeot, I will expect them not to be the same. But I also expect that the design where the engine mount will be bolted to the cross member should be able to match that of the Peugeot, so that they won't need to change the oil pan. So I'm thinking, I can't see. I've seen Volvo with this PRV engine. That's B280 engine. Only that at that time I couldn't tell whether it's B280, because they all look alike. B280E or B280F, but I know I've seen. So from the upper part, yeah, the only change is where the throttle body is. They change that position. Of course, the internals are a little bit different on the inside the cylinder head, but that's for a different discussion for a different video. So, but for the bottom side, the oil pan, if it's the same, let me put it this way. I'm going to show you my oil pan. Okay, not necessarily the complete oil pan, but I'm going to show you where Peugeot created position where the engine mount is bolted on the oil pan. Remember, for this PRV engine, there are about 2 layers of oil pan. Not so the one I'm talking about is the one that is attached directly on the engine block. So that's the main oil pan I'm talking about. So this particular oil pan, if it's the same with the B280F, that's, let me put it another way. If ZN3J, which is PRV, or ZN3T, which is PRV engine from 505, if the oil pan is identical to that of B280E or B280F, then you don't have to worry about modifying anything, or you don't have to worry about your cross member where the engine will sit on in your 504. Remember, what you are doing now is your 504. That's where what the vehicle intend to mount this your B280 engine. But if the oil pan is different, if the Volvo one is different from the Peugeot, and the reason why I'm saying whether it's different or the same is it will determine the type of engine mount that will be there. So if it's the same, then I'm going to show you the only thing you will need to do, because your 504, you didn't state exactly which class member you are going to use on your 504. Are you going to use class member for the normal SN or SM? That's all this for carburetor engines in 504s. If that's it, class member you want to use, then I want to show you something. Hold on, because I saw this question, then I went back. Remember, I did a project on my own 505 VCC center. So let's start from here. Now this is the oil pan of the ZN3J. This is the picture I took from mine back then in 2021 when I was doing the project. So this is part of the oil pan. So now look at it. This is the engine mount. Of course, you can see it has broken. So you can see where you see as I circled it, you can see it's bolted directly on the oil pan, the engine mount. Not necessarily, no, the engine mount, see, there's a small aluminium that is first attached or bolted on the oil pan before the engine mount will now be bolted to the that aluminium. It's just like the SM and the SM1 engine, the SM7, SM1 engine. In other words, for those who don't know this engine model I'm talking about these carburetor engines you find in 504, 505. So they have all kind of aluminium that is first bolted on the engine block. Then from there, um, you add tight. I'm trying to remember exactly what they look like. I'm trying to remember. Um, I know there's for the class member. Okay, let me just finish what I'm saying first, so I won't make mistake. So this is the ZN3J. So if it's exactly like this, so what you need to do now, go and find out. Go to, you can see it is from the flywheel side. So go towards the flywheel side on both sides of the engines. Check whether the engine mounts where the or on the oil pan. You see where the engine mount is supposed to be. Check whether it's exactly like this. Whether it has this aluminium here. You can see that Allen key bolts. These two Allen key bolts. That's the aluminium I was talking about. Then this bolt in the middle is the bolt that it comes from the engine mount. Then there's another bolt directly under, but it's just like it has broken directly under the engine mount. So that one will now go to the cross member. I'm going to show you that. For the carburetor engine cross members, I think it's now I'm beginning to remember. I think I begin to remember. Trying to remember exactly, but I think there's this another two aluminiums as well, but it's much longer than the one you are looking at that is attached on the oil pan. So there's something else that now goes down to that is bolted on the cross member. I'm going to show you this cross member, but the picture I took was when I've put the engine mount on the V6 cross member. The one I'm using is V6 cross member. However, for my own observation, when I did my own project, I realized that even 4-cylinder cross member can work. The only difference now is you have to your engine mount. You have to figure out how to construct or find an engine mount that can be able to enter on both the oil pan and the cross member. So it may not be, because I think it will be very difficult to get 505 V6 engine cross member. I believe it will be very difficult to find one. So yes, you can use that of 4-cylinder cross member. Just that the only place you now have to modify. So to answer your question directly, is your engine mount. As long as the oil pan is identical to that of PRV in 505. That's the factory PRV in 505, which is ZN3J or ZN3T. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So now let's look at this. Is the engine mount for carburetor engines. That's carburetor engine in 504, 505, 4 cylinders. Not remember 504 had the V6 V6 carburetor engine. So I'm referring to those 4-cylinder engines. So this is engine mount, right? However, it's not the same with that of PRV engine in 505 and 504. It's not. So in my own case, remember it has broken both sides. There are actually two, one on each of the side of the engine. So both of them were broken at the time I wanted to I was doing that project. Remember what happened? I removed the V6 engine from the vehicle, put a 4-cylinder carburetor engine. Then months later, I returned back the V6 engine. So as I was doing that, and I saw that the engine mount were broken, two of them. Even when I was removing the engine, that's why I saw that they were broken long ago. So I now had to, and they are not available. Search online, search everywhere in Pan Nigeria. I could find or search. I couldn't find. So I had to improvise all by myself. I just had to figure it out as I was doing the job. So this is so what I did was I used the 4-cylinder engine mount to do this. So this is the mount, but you can see from the mount, the upper side has the bolt, which also the V6 one will have. But for the 4-cylinder, the bottom side does not have bolt in the middle. It's only on the upper side that it has that bolt. While the V6 has both the upper and the lower side of the or the bottom side of the mount. They all have bolt in the middle on both sides. So I now had to figure out, so how do I make a mount? How do I use the 4-cylinder mount to do in such a way that it will have it will have two bolts, just like on the V6 factory engine mount, the upper on top, or you could say on top of the mount and on the bottom of the mount. So I had to use and measure it to be sure that it can enter both the oil pan, you can put it on both the oil pan, and it will still enter straight and pass through the close member, where you now hold the engine mount so that the engine doesn't move around while the engine is running, or while car is in motion, or while you are engaging gears. So what I now did was, now you can see this. Look at this. Now look at the bottom. You can see on the other, under my hand, you can see the 4-cylinder engine mount is still there. So what I now did was, I went and took the base of a failed engine mount of 4-cylinder. What I mean base, I mean this. So 4-cylinder owned, I was at a mechanic workshop. So initially I wanted to buy another 2 engine mounts for this job. But I now saw that all you need to do is make sure you go to workshop that repair 504, 505. You can easily get this mount. Or you buy if they don't have at the moment. That's broken one. So I now found 2 lying on the ground. So this rubber there, this rubber, there's a rubber in between this metal on top. So I now took it somewhere and have the rubber filed out completely. So that's what it filed out. And I don't even remember how I did it, but you just have to find a way to remove those rubber. So look at what I now did. Look at what I did. So remember, the engine mount of a 4-cylinder engine has already been taken. That 4-cylinder, it has a bolt on top. So what I'm trying to find or trying to do here is to get another bolt under. But because under it, you can't just go and weld a bolt. For example, this here. If I go and weld bolts here, it's going to melt this rubber. So it will mess up the whatever I'm trying to achieve. So what I did was, I went and got this same base of the mount, the metal base, which is flat. So I got another one as another two, since I'm doing two engine mount. So I now welded, got 13 bolts. I got 13 bolts, measured it so that it will be long enough to pass through the engine cross member. There are two holes on the cross member where this supposed to pass through. So I measured it, it showed right in the center. So I now gave it to electric welder. They now welded this bolt. They cut off the base of the bolt, and then welded it on the base of the engine mount, the broken ones. So I did it on the two. You're going to see. So now you can see. Now look at the idea. Look at the idea. So by doing this, what it means is all I need to do is I'll now take this constructed one, turn it and face the bolt downward. Then align it with this one. Remember, two of them have almost the same shape of holes by the side. So align it under it and then get I think that was a 13 bolt or a 10 bolt. I can't remember. And I got another two short 10 or 13 bolts, something like that. And now tight and hold the two together. So meaning one bolt is now facing up, the other one is facing down. So instead of going to weld on this new one, bolt directly on this metal base on the new one, we should not melt or damage the bushing. So I decided to do the welding on another metal, which it won't affect any rubber. You can see the old rubber that broke on when the mat was still okay. So I had to find a way to scrape them off so that I can be able to weld this bolt. I was see all these things. I was one that taught it to, gave instruction to the welder what to do. Purchase this bolt myself. We did not everything, including the new. You can see this is new. The new it's not just new, OEM. I was just lucky to be able to get OEM engine mount for the first cylinder. So I'm going to show you guys finish work. So you can see you can see how I did it. Now look at the old one, the broken one. So you can see there is nothing on top. There's nothing on top. There is still something under where you can see knots that is holding something. So you can see the finished work now. You can see how I use another 10. I think it was 10, not 13. 2 10 bolts to now tight and clamp the two, giving me the shape as if this is the original shape, as in the pipe, the bolt pass on both sides, but it didn't actually pass. So this is, now look at the cross member. So you can see what I now did. You can see. So for the two of them, so the one side of the bolt, the one that side I welded, will now go into the cross member. It will pass through the cross member. From under it, it will now tight. The other bolt that I welded, and then the other one, the other side of bolt that is on the new side of the mount, that's the one that will now go to the oil pan, which is this one. That's the one that will now enter here and bolt, and you tight it. So, and look at how I faced the mount. You can see there's a curve. You can see there's a curve, so you have to be mindful of how I did it. The reason why I'm explaining this, taking my time to explain this is, you may, even if the oil pan of the B280E and B280F is identical to that of ZN3J or ZN3T, you I don't think you'll be able to find the engine mark, because if you can find the stock engine mark for this PRV engine, there's no point. You just don't no need to go through all this construction I did. Now, if it's not the same, or okay, let's assume it's the same. I forgot to mention, so if it's the same, now where you now have a problem is, since because this one is ZN3J or 505 V6 class member. Now the four cylinder on, you find that longer aluminium that is bolted on each side where these bushings or engine mass you are seeing on the screen. So you have to remove those cast, call it cast aluminium, that is that is bolted on the cross member before the engine mount now goes there. So I'm trying to remember how the mounts are actually bolted on the, yeah, I think, yeah, the even the four cylinder engine, they also have something like this but different. Another cast that is actually bolted on the oil pan. No, for the four cylinder is basically more like on the engine block, while that of the ZN3J PRV is on the oil pan. Like I said, the oil pan is like into two. You can see it's divided into two, so they are more like two oil pan. Or you could say the engine block is divided into two, the bigger one and then the smaller one, then before the oil pan. So for me, sometimes I just regard that that part of the PRV engine where this mount is bolted, I regard it as oil pan. Just it makes it more easier to explain. So now you can understand, this is the main one. In fact, this is where all this I explain is exactly what will take you time in this conversion. Is something, see, this will be the last side of the conversion before engine will sit. So how do you do that? You first have to mount the gearbox, put the depending on which gearbox you want to use, we'll get to that. Put the gearbox, put the propeller, the tube, no, that's the torque tube and the propeller shaft. We call it propeller shaft here, but in the West, some people call it drive shaft. So those ones, even the rear differential, those things have to be set and mounted and let them stay in the normal position they're supposed to be. Put the gearbox, attach the engine to the gearbox, let it sit. Do your mount your gear selectors. Make sure everything is now at the position as you want it to be, before you now start looking at how to get your engine to be bolted on the cross member. Because at that time, like I said, since you're not going to use that on the V6 or the 505 V6 cross member, you're probably going to use that on the four cylinder. So the mounts, if you put this particular mount that I now did, or even the stock 505 V6 mount, you may not be able to. I don't think it will enter directly on the hole on the cross member. You won't be able to pass through. So in that case, you now be forced to either you do something like this, but the bolts will not be exactly like I did on mine, because mine, remember, the two bolts are in the middle of the base of those mounts. So, but in this case, you have to first lower the engine. You can still use this engine mount, the four cylinder on. However, the other bolt you welding, you have to measure it to know exactly at what spot where it will pass through on the base of the um, on the engine mount. It's something you have to figure out. As in, you can't. You just have to. When it gets there, you see it. Depending on how technical you are, you have to be technical minded person to be able to figure this out, how to do that. There are other more expensive ways of doing this, like the one I did. You could say, oh, it doesn't look that neat, and but the most important thing, it got the job done very well. Right? Up to today, the mount, everything is intact, no vibration coming from the engine bay to the inside the car, because of because I did it in such a way that the mount will still do its work without the vehicle feeling the shock, that in the absence of the mount, the shock will be getting into the engine or into the vehicle, or the engine won't be able to stay at one place. So that's what I mean. So until drop it, that's when you figure out, okay, maybe this mount I use may not even work in that case. You use a four cylinder cross member. So, but as once you drop it low, you now figure out, okay, is there anything you can use? Is there any kind of bushing or something you can apply metal on it that can be able to tight on the cross member, and then take it up to the engine, the oil pan, and bolt it there, and you still hold the engine. Then when you do that, you also need to check, because remember, it's no longer the stock engine mount. So what you're going to use might be a little bit thicker, a little bit lower. So if it's too low, if the bushing on the mount is too low, what you realize is your engine oil pan, you see it sitting or pressing on your steering rack, to press on the steering rack. Remember, it's supposed to be free. It shouldn't be touching your cross member. Otherwise, you'll be feeling all those vibrations or stuff. So you have to do it. So when you drop it, you see if it's too low, then you can now get something else and support the mount before you drop the engine on the cross member. It has to be something thick, rubber or something. Drop it so that it will take it up a little. Then if it's too much, you won't be able to close your bonnet. It means your engine will go up too high, especially if your B280 PRV engine has a AC compressor. You find out that the compressor will not, because the compressor is the most on the PRV, your compressor is on top, and that is the only component that shoot out more than others, not even your intake manifold or your throttle body. So the compressor, you have to do it such a way that it doesn't touch the bonnet when you close the bonnet. So you have to bring it down, as in low level it. Like I said, this should be your last area in this conversion that you'll be able to focus for the engine to now sit properly. Don't go and start doing it before you go to your gearbox or go to the rear differential or to the what's it called, propeller shaft or top two. Don't do that. If you do, you realize how by the time you finish trying to seat the engine to be in a position you want, you probably realize that your torque tube doesn't get fully or doesn't reach the rear differential, or that your rear differential or your propeller tube doesn't enter inside the gearbox output spline, or rear differential input twine. Yeah, I mean, you just do every other thing, so you now focus on the engine, because that's where the cross member and the engine mount will have to find a way to make it sit on without affecting closing of the bonnet or the engine sitting on the steering rack, pressing on it. I know it's a lot of things, but I mean, if you are the technical time, I believe you understand how this is I'm saying. It's only people who are not the technical, are not into conversion project like this, that will see everything I'm saying as abracadabra. So so custom fabricated motor mounts necessary for this. So yeah, in other words, yeah, you can see mine is custom made. The engine mounts, I had to do it myself. So in your case, you are likely going to do that. It may not be exactly the one I did. You may even have a better idea on how to do it much easier than the mine look a little bit complicated. But it's not actually, it's very easy. Anyway, yours might be different because I use mine is the normal 505 V6 cross member. But since yours might not be, and it's likely that your oil pan, because it's B280E, might be different from that of PRV in Peugeot. In that case, it might not match. So that's really going to give you tough time more to me. There's another one that could give tough time, but it all depends. Which other question? It said, does the PRV oil pan fit without needing to? Okay, I've actually answered that question concerning whether you need to, the oil pan needs to be modified uh, because of the cross member. Like I said, it depends on the engine mount you want to use. If not, there's no need to touch your oil pan. You don't need to. Since it's from Volvo is the Volvo 760 is rear wheel drive. So they will do the, I want to believe the oil pan will be in such a way that it will be designed to sit on rear wheel drive. In that case, it's 504 is also rear wheel drive. So um, it should be the same position where the engine mount goes to the oil pan in B280, that should be on ZN3J. Just I don't know because all the time I was seeing the B280 engine were while they were on the vehicle, not off the vehicle. Even if they were off the vehicle, I didn't pay attention to see what their engine mounts look like, or oil pan. Oil pan, I believe it from the front, everything will be the same, but it's just at that position where the engine mounts will be bolted. I don't know if it will look the same or have the same position for the mounts to be bolted on. So now, your next question, you said, do you know of auto transmission I can use that will not require me to reshape the tunnel or cut the drive shaft to be able to fit in? Um, I don't know the Volvo 760. I don't know the model of gearbox that is attached. I honestly don't know. I will expect it to still be the same ZF 4HP22. Might not be, I don't know. But the the model, since you are saying automatic, wow. The I don't know if it's possible for you to source a 4HP22. I don't know. Um, for example, there was one 505 V6 automatic as well. That somebody, the car has been with me for a while, but the gearbox had issues. So the owner got I think it was a GTI Either 504, 505 GTI automatic which is the same transmission anyway. It's same 4 HP 2022. But the from the look of from the gearbox, I could tell that's from the bell housing that the gearbox was for four-cylinder engine. But what the mechanic now did was he removed the bell housing and swapping the ZN3J bell housing. Remember, the starter motor positions on the bell housings are different, or is different from that of the same 4 HP 22 on ZN3J. No, on ZDJL engine. That's 505 GTI vehicle. The engines have the different, is 2.2 liter engine. So if you can find the gearbox, but then even if you find that GTI gearbox, I think, or like the, let me call out the model the person used, the model of the gearbox. That's 4 HP 22 uh 2BK50 or something. I didn't screenshot it. I know I have the picture on my other phone. That is of automatic. But the only thing that will work better the bell housing. How do you get the one for ZNTJ? Or unless the bell, okay. If you can get the gearbox that will come with the B280, since it must be automatic, maybe you can swap the bell housing. I don't see for the automatic transmission. I don't really think I have any solution there, as I don't know. I don't know. Um, whether you need to cut the tunnel or widen the tunnel, I don't also know, because it all depends on the gearbox that you use. If it's the normal 4 HP 22, you don't need to widen anything. You don't need to or modify your gearbox tunnel at all. So for that transmission, I'm lost. I don't know what to say. You said lastly, will the PRV exhaust system require any modification or fabrication to the underside of the 504? 504 and the 505 engine bay, to say basically the same in terms of size. Yeah, but I've not actually checked in terms of the. I think I've done that too. I'm trying to remember exactly the result. But even if there's any difference, not that much. My point is the PIV engine can sit properly inside the 504 engine bay. The only issue you have, because even 505 sef, some do have that issue, is the exhaust manifold. The exhaust manifold, the one that you have problem is the one on the right side. The right side exhaust manifold. The right side means, okay, I don't know which country, because I'm not sure you're in Nigeria, so I don't know which country you are asking this from. So whether it's you do right hand drive position or left hand drive. So anyway, you know what I mean by right. By right means, okay, just go to your vehicle, open the bonnet, stand in front of your engine bay or in front of the bonnet as you are looking into the engine bay. Your right side, the right side of the vehicle is the one is your left hand. Or better still, sit inside your car, sit behind your steering wheel, irrespective of the driving position. Sit on your driver's seat. Any side that is your right is your right. Your left hand drive, which one is your left hand drive? Which one is your left hand and which is your right hand? So that will tell you which side of the vehicle is right or left. So That I know probably you already know since from your questions it appears you're a technical person. So it's just for other people who don't know or trying to learn. Now, the right side of the exhaust manifold, there are two exhaust manifolds. So the right exhaust manifold can be very difficult to tight the exhaust pipe on while the engine is already in the engine bay. It can be so difficult that some people I've seen, they will now go to that right fender, under the fender, under the fender, right side, front fender. Remove the tire. The exhaust manifold is very very close to the pan in between the under the fender, that space under the fender and the engine bay. That metal, you know, covering that side of engine bay. So what they will now do, they will go and get a panel beater and cut open the sheet of pan there. They will cut it open so that from there they will be able to lose the two bolts that clamps the exhaust pipe to the manifold. So that's the only challenge you will have. It can be very hard to squeeze it hard to do that. Me, in my own case, I insisted I didn't want to cut, but the other 505, another one I saw in the past, they did cut that place open. So, so that's the only challenge. Other than that, I don't think you have it, because even the chassis 504 and 505 chassis, whether similar or identical, I mean, they're basically, I would say the same. I know they are not like identical, but in terms of space, the same thing. In terms of wideness. No, you could argue. I don't know. I can't say which one is better, because I know even 505 chassis. I've seen one that broke. The owner had to change it. The 504, because they suffer more rust, so their chassis tend to rust more. To force owners to try to change their chassis. So the point is that chassis is blocking access to exhaust manifold on the right side. Not necessarily remove the exhaust manifold. Where the exhaust is bolted on, the exhaust pipe is bolted on the exhaust manifold. So it's just almost like beside very close to the chassis. So you won't be able to make out space to put your hand to lose it. So eventually someone will be forced to cut open some part of the metal car body, but under the fender. Cut it open, then after they are done, they will just not necessarily weld like what they did on that one. They didn't weld back the cut open body of the car. They just not push it back and left it like that, which is supposed to weld it back. But I've told you now anyway. So that's the only thing I know, especially since it's B280. That's the only place I know you might have a challenge. Unless the only place what I just said might not work is if the exhaust manifold on B280 is different from exhaust manifold of ZN3J or ZN3T, that's PRV engine in 505. If they are the same, then you won't have any problem, unless you just have to do what I just explained. Or if they are different, in that case I can't say how we are going to have easy access to the manifold, or hard difficult access to it, to tight it. The most important issue you have is the manifold. not any other thing. So you don't need to bother about modifying any other part. Of course, remember, because it's a V6 engine, so you have to find a way. I mean, I wish you could get that Volvo 760 exhaust, at least up to the catalytic converter. Though your since the B280 you won't have catalytic converter, I expect it not to have B280E. I expect it not to have catalytic converter. So, but at least it will come with a V shape, come and join together. Two pipes will come from each of the manifold and join. So, if you can get that pipe that will come with the one they remove with the engine, then up to somewhere in the middle of the car, maybe this under the gearbox where the two parts meet together. In that case, yeah, you can cut it from there, then come and fabricate and make it to join on your uh, 504 exhaust with that center exhaust port. Somehow you have two of them need to mix there before it enters the port. Mm. So the most important thing, you need that. If I had time, see all the because I took pictures of all mine when I was removing the engine initially, my PRV engine, both the exhaust, everything. Then when I was putting them back, I was also taking some pictures. So I hope this have answered all your questions. I know this video is long, but um I mean that's the best I can do, because otherwise I don't know. It's not as if I will go and dismantle my 505 V6 again to try to start describing how to put this, put that. No, I don't know. Maybe it would have been easier if I had gone under the car to start showing this and that. Okay, maybe that's another easy way of doing it, but I don't think I'll have that energy to go under the car to start doing this kind of explanation. So the truth is, if you are actually a technical person, which I believe you are, from your questions, you are very clear, you are very specific. I like answering questions like, because it shows the person knows what he's talking about. You're very specific. You mentioned directly this is, in fact, as if you already, it just this is actually how I did mine. Even before the work started, I already in my mind mentally seeing the problems and then trying to solve the problems before the work even started. So it's exactly almost the same thing that you are doing. So it shows you know what you are doing. So even without my input, I believe is someone you can easily figure it out. At least, but when you hear from somebody else who have done it, then it will be much easier rather than because sometimes it will cost so much. You buy some things, you spend some money, in the process you now realize, oh, it wouldn't work. Then you have to go back again. So but if when you learn from somebody who have done it before you, that person have done that expensive, spend so much time and all those things, so it will just cut it down for you. So I go straight to the point rather than going through the same um processes he did, and end up spending so much. Projects, it can be, see, car projects, you just have to those who are into it know what it means. I mean, I'm not talking about, oh, you go and paint your car. No, that's what I'm talking about. As in conversion projects, is especially someone like this that is not plug and play. So um so that's basically all I can think. I mean, this PRV engine is just the best. You need to, even the sound, even the sound, man. I'm enjoying mine. I'm not gonna lie. I'm enjoying mine. I'm not saying it's the best V6 engine ever done or the best V6 Peugeot engine. It's just unique. It's different on its own, you know. Um, just and since you have you want intend to use the B280E, which is 170 HP version, you enjoy it more as well. As long as your ECU you are going to use is the one that will be able to bring out the full engine potential. Probably, I don't know whether maybe you have intention of using aftermarket ECU or you want to use the Volvo ECU, the B280E stock engine ECU from Volvo, which I believe is very, very easy to connect. I mean, for my 505 V6 ECU, the wiring connection, the engine, in fact, engine wiring harness, I built it from scratch. There was a time I had a wiring diagram, engine wiring diagram for the Volvo B280 engine, the PRV engine in Volvo. The Volvo 7, is it 740? I have the wiring diagram to build the ECU, though, because I checked, I realized that it's not the same with the PRV 505. The wiring harness are not the same, you know. However, I saw the entire, not diagram per se, schematics. So I saw it as okay, something I could do, you know. I remember there was a time I was considering when my ECU was acting up. So I was like, maybe if I can get that B280 ECU, since it's basically the same power in mine, I just need to change the harness again. Don't need to go and buy a harness. I'll just build another one. So, okay. So I wish you the best. I don't think I have any other thing um, I can think of to help you, to explain, to help you in your own project. So, good luck.